Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Energy of the Week. My name is Melisha, and it has been a wild week. We have just come out of the Equinox, so I'd like to chat about post-Equinox energies. We've had a major snowstorm in South Africa, the biggest one in KZN in 28 years that happened over the weekend, and there's been a lot of energies coming through since last week with the geomagnetic storm, the high solar flares, etc. It seems to be never ending. And with all of this, of course, many people are going through what some would call a healing crisis. I have been also down and out this weekend with a migraine and nausea and fatigue, and it's been a lot. So you might have heard the term healing crisis being thrown around, and we may think that we are going through a healing crisis when we've healed so much, and why are we still experiencing this? So I'd like to get into that firstly. What is a healing crisis? Is it really a healing? Is it really a crisis, or is it still healing? So I really don't agree with the term healing crisis, as I believe that it is actually an integration phase of the healing process that we are going through. So from my personal experience of recovering from adrenal fatigue and burnout, as well as chronic illness of rheumatoid arthritis, which I have fully recovered from, I am pretty familiar now with the healing cycles, and so I know when we're actually going through a healing integration phase, which many people think is a crisis, is a healing crisis. So in last week's blog, I spoke about the cycles of ascension. If you haven't read that blog last week, please go and do so. It is on my website, and please also subscribe to the blog if you are not subscribed, so that you can receive these golden nuggets, as I call them, from my guides, which are these insights that they've shared with me over the years on the ascension process, on our healing processes, and the really important information to help us navigate these times. So I spoke about the integration cycle, and I gave an overview of what that phase is. So today I'd like to talk about exactly what the integration phase is. But before I get into that, we need to understand what is an activation. You might have heard this phrase coming through a lot, and you might have received healing activations, but what exactly is an activation? So an activation can come to you in the form of a healing, as I've mentioned. Example, if you've come to me for divine light healing activation, or you've received one in one of our workshops, where you will lie down and you will receive the healing from me. So it can also come to you through your own healing guides, where you will receive maybe a download, an upgrade, which happens specifically during portal times when the energy is very high, so that they can bring you these codes. And this could be, again, healing, or it could be an insight or messages. It could be high vibrational energies that are coming through, such as love, peace, clarity. All of these things are activations, and it is going to prompt your body into a receptive response, and this begins the integration process. It is the starting point, which could last only between 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most. Most often you will receive these activations in theta state, which is why when in the times of the equinoxes or the solar flares or the high vibrational portals, you may feel the need to suddenly lie down, and sometimes, depending on what your body needs, deep rest is needed, and you may need to sleep for longer than 45 minutes. So then that would prompt an integration phase, and specifically I want to get into what is healing integration. Okay, so in the integration phase, you will continue to receive the healing depending on the percentage that your body needed during the activation phase. So if your body received, for example, 20% in the activation phase, The next 80% is still to come, and often that will come through in the integration phase in increments as your body needs it. So this would depend on each individual, what they would need. So how long the integration phase lasts is very much dependent on each person. Remember that when you're receiving the activation, it happens quite quickly. As in the quantum space, everything is sped up because the higher the frequency, the quicker the speed. But in the physical dimension of 3D, things are slower. So it is through the body, so it is as though the body needs to catch up, and this is then the healing integration phase. So as mentioned, many people and healers refer to this as a healing crisis, but it is not a crisis, and this is only adds fear to the process. It is a natural part of the healing process. Many things come up during this phase, such as flare-ups, emotional challenges, ascension symptoms, because your body is still healing. And this is when the healing activation you received will kick in again to heal you. This is how you start to embody the healing codes, as it is through this repetitive process of healing that your cellular memory is awakened and your body starts to remember once again how to heal yourself. If there is fear that comes up during this process, it is an opportunity to tap into where the fear is rooted and then transmute the fear. Remember that during this process, your body is going through the most. Your body is changing on a cellular and DNA level. Your telomeres are lengthening. New neural pathways are being created. Your nervous system is regulating. Your hormones are balancing, and so much more. If you received insights and messages from your guides during your activation, a time of integration is needed so that your body can process the information. Thereafter, you will have all those aha moments. You start to have remembrance. The veils become thin and you start to see the truth. So all the healing, the insights, the messages you receive in your activation phase start to integrate into your daily life, and you start to live very differently than before. You have the opportunity to put these activations into practice, and through your life experience, you embody the healing, the insights, and the lessons. It is a process of interweaving all the activations into your daily life. We can also say that part of the integration process is anchoring or grounding, as you are anchoring in a new way of being into the 5D grid. Things that assist with integration would be grounding by walking barefoot in nature, forest bathing, being in natural water, drinking plenty of water. Certain foods, as you know, help with grounding. Body work such as therapeutic massages can help, as it will help you to come back into your body and ground. It is also very important to get plenty of rest, as the integration process requires a lot of energy, and so you will feel very fatigued and exhausted before you feel revitalized again. So it is like you will be feeling worse before you feel better. Think about a baby growing. There's so much growth happening at a quick pace. Therefore, babies need to sleep more, right? A lot of this is to allow the process to unfold. As I've mentioned, when you receive a healing activation or a download or an upgrade, you are in a high vibration. The ascension process is a process whereby our body is shifting into high frequencies. And so through the integration process, anchoring and grounding will help you exist and function in a 3D physical reality while still holding a higher frequency. Okay, so let's get into post-equinox energies. We've just come out of the equinox on Sunday, and many of you would have received some downloads, some upgrades, some insights perhaps. Certain truths may have been revealed to you. The veils are very thin. I've spoken about this in my blog yesterday, so if you want to go and read about that, you may do so. And so a lot has been happening, and next we will start an integration phase. Okay, we will have to start to process everything that's happened, everything that's come through. And so many of you will be going through an integration phase. It is important to just tune into your body to see what it is that's needed. If you need more support to get through this, then please reach out to me or to other healers who can help you, get all of those things that are needed to help you ground and to go through the integration phase with ease and grace. It is important to have compassion for ourselves and to really nurture ourselves through the integration phase, and know that it is part of the process. Then last week Friday, we had the biggest snowstorm in KZN, as I've mentioned, since 1996. Many people were just not prepared. It is very rare to have such a big snowstorm in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, where I am. It is my home province, and so many people were stuck in the snowstorm on the main highway for over 24 hours. They were making their way down to KZN for the long weekend and school holidays. 2 people unfortunately lost their lives due to hypothermia. People were stuck with newborn babies and children, as well as people who had chronic health conditions. So I'm talking about this here not to cause fear around it, but for us to be aware of what's going on, and so that we can be more prepared. We are seeing extreme weather conditions all over the world. We are expected to have another snowstorm over South Africa next weekend. So as I said, this is not to cause more fear, but rather for us to just be more prepared. We need to be prepared for the unexpected. We need to be prepared for more severe bad weather. Just in the last 3 years alone, we have had extreme weather in South Africa. We've seen tornadoes in KZN, which we haven't experienced before. So it is really up to us to be prepared, not rely on municipalities, etc., as we know that they're really not prepared to deal with these disasters in South Africa, in KZN specifically. So some things that you can do is keep an emergency bag in your home with copies of your important documents, etc. Travel with a survival kit in your car with extra clothing, food, water, flashlights, etc. Keep cash on hand if there are power outages. Keep food with long shelf lives in your home, in the freezer. Back up your important documents online, that are online, onto hard drives, etc. So just start becoming more self-sufficient, start becoming more aware of what's going on. I know that many of us like to stay away from the news, but it's also important to keep track of exactly what's going on, especially with the weather, etc. It's better to be prepared and nothing happens rather than not be prepared if something does happen. Also, this is why it is so important to have, on a spiritual note, to have your third eye and your inner knowing and self-trust fully online, to have that strong communion with your higher self, so that you can respond to any situation in alignment with your higher self, knowing that your higher self and your guides are there guiding you every step. We can instinctively move out of danger when we need to and protect ourselves and loved ones when we are fully tapped into our higher self. So energetically, what do the snowstorms mean? As we know, water holds high vibration, and so too does snow. It brings the energy of calm, of peace, of stillness, allowing you to access the present moment and 0 point field, and it brings the energy as well of joy and excitement. So as many people found joy, had fun, experienced the inner child's playful side, this immediately would have raised their vibration. On the other hand, many people experience hardships during the snowstorms, and this gives them the opportunity to release the density within so that they can find the inner strength again. So as snow brings high vibrational energy into earth, and we are moving into more and more high vibrational energy, so naturally it means that we're going to expect more colder weather over the years. So this is why we just need to be prepared for it. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and sending you lots of love.